You have found the Jordy Culotta Show right here on YouTube. We go live Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. on the campus of Click Here Digital in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where we serve up premium LSU content. Hard-hitting guests, opinions that you can find Monday through Friday. If you want that, subscribe right here on the link that you see below. Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you.
Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go! All right. Nice start. Big day. Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Thank you for the time.
First off, where is everybody? Like, where are all the players? I don't like. Where's Quincy Wiggins? Where's Deshaun Womack? Where's Chris Hilton? Where's Shelton Sampson, who I've heard so much about during training camp? Where are all of these players that you roll the ball out there 2 nights ago, and you got no effort, you got no energy, and there's no move to try and find the best players and put them in position to make plays. I'm so discouraged about what I saw 2 nights ago. It has taken me back to a place that I never, or at least I was hopeful that LSU would never see again. Really. And throughout, and I don't mean to it's not in a comparison sake. It's just, it's a feeling. And when you would watch LSU 10 years ago, 12 years ago, there was a curiosity always on why are they not putting the guys or the best players in the positions to make plays? It was always, why are you not playing him? Why is that guy not playing more? Why is that guy not touching the ball more? Why aren't they using this guy in circumstances where he can help the team? 2 nights ago, when I watched LSU play, it was more of that, of where is everybody? I mean, I am so, I was texting Cole Kubelik and Roman Harper this morning because they have a great show on the SEC network called Read and React is the name of the show. It's on right now. It's on replay. It's on loop. I believe it comes on Sundays during the season. It's kind of a wrap-up show. And Cole is as good of an analyst that you will find in talking football. Roman, just as good. The lead question that they had for the weekend, after all the games had been played, top 3 questions, they do a segment called, both of their number 1 questions is, what the hell are you doing with Harold Perkins, LSU? What the hell is going on? How can you take a player who Roman Harper called the best defensive player in the league last year and have him out of position and then not have the wherewithal in the middle of the game to recognize it, get out of it, and put him in a spot where he can make a play? That is Les Miles' LSU, where you just got all this talent that comes through here and you go 8-4. You go 9-3. You win 10 games when you should be playing for the national championship. All because you're hard-headed to the fact that you don't play the right players. I mean, it is going back and watching that game, it is mesmerizing. Keon Coleman straight up backyards LSU when he breaks the huddle. He breaks the huddle and puts his arm up like Randy Moss when he sees Deuce Chestnut standing over him. How much more disrespect do you have to have? How much more disrespectful can it be before you look at LaTerrence Welsh and say, get out there? Or you look at Denver Harris and say, get out there and go play. Well, he showed up late for a team. Who cares? This is ridiculous.
Even Ashton Stamps.
All of them. You go
more.
back and watch that game. No Quincy Wiggins. No Chris Hilton. I saw a tweet that Chris Hilton put out since has been deleted. Somebody screenshotted it, caught it, sent it to me. Chris Hilton Sr. tweeted out, why not me? Hashtag go Tigers. Hashtag put me in, coach. With 3 pictures of freakishly athletic plays that Chris Hilton has made throughout training camp. Not one play can that guy get on the field and just say, hey, Chris, you're a world-class sprinter. Put your head down and run towards that goalpost. Jaden, take a 3-step drop and uncork one time. See if you can't back these guys out of the box if they're just standing up here 7 yards like Anthony Jennings is playing quarterback at LSU. The disrespect the other night in a game and against a team that you were beating. That you looked like throughout the first 24 minutes of it that you were the better team and just couldn't close. Hopefully with some second half adjustments, you can start to push the ball across the goal line and get out of there with a win. Get outscored 31-7. And some of the comments in the postgame, I got to be honest, it's alarming. And I'm not burning it down. And I'm not saying it's melting, but as the college football weekend wraps up, and we've seen it all now. You've seen Colorado play. You've seen Clemson trip over their feet. You've seen the SEC get out there and dominate their, week 1 opponents that they should. I still think, by far, LSU, the disappointment of the weekend. With the expectation and with what has been built up in the offseason, not really by us, too, the media, the people watching. It's really kind of been internally. I mean, you're really just kind of following the message of what's just coming out of the building. They thought they were good. And now to see the college football weekend come and go, I mean, on that same Read and React show on the SEC Network, watch the league. I know that nobody played anybody. Tennessee whooped Virginia. Alabama beat the brakes off of, was that South Alabama? Texas A&M beat New Mexico. I mean, all things that should happen, right? But they went out there and executed, and when you just watch their personnel and you look at LSU's personnel, it's different.
Nick Saban ain't scared to play freshmen.
I don't understand why you don't play the best players. I'll never understand in competition why coaches do not play the best players. That is one of the most inexplicable, downright dumb things I've ever seen in sports. It's only the thing that I've seen with Les Miles. Les Miles used to do it all the time, and he's the dumbest coach I've ever seen. The most underqualified, the most underwhelming, underperforming coach that has ever existed. And that's why. He didn't know how to put the players in the right position. He wasted so much talent that came through here. Russell Shepard played 8 years at wide receiver in the league. He couldn't find a position for. He sat on the bench the last 3 games he was here. The Peach Bowl against Clemson, Russell Shepard's ordering hot dogs and need him on the bench. They don't know how to use him. Meanwhile, Chris Hilton's sitting on the bench on Sunday night. And LSU's dropping balls. LaTerrence Welsh, where was he? I'm not saying that he steps in there and he becomes an All-American, but he's better than what you have on the field. For not to be able to recognize that 5'9" can't guard 6'4" one-on-one and make the adjustment. What the hell's going on? Well, what are you looking at?
Let's switch it, Coach. We'll put Major Burns on him.
I mean, like, what are you looking at? I am so glad that the Harold Perkins story is just permeating throughout college football. Every show you click on, people are like, what the hell are they doing with Perkins?
They neutered him.
I mean, somebody's got to be like, yo, Matt, you got to pull the plug on this thing in the middle, right? I mean, just put the guy on the outside where he dominated college football last year and quit overthinking it. It's hard. It is difficult to mess up a player as good as Harold Perkins. It really is. I mean, it would be like taking Malik Neighbors and be like, hey, man, we're going to start you at right tackle this week. Huh? I'm going to get mauled there. Yeah, no, but just this week in the game plan, it looks like you're a better fit in the offensive line. Huh? I mean, I cannot believe when you go back and watch the game how much LSU got in their own way. And the thing about it is, you were getting all the breaks. You were getting all the calls. Everything was going your way. I just, a day later, watching it again, watching Clemson, like, dumping themselves into bed. I mean, I still think that LSU by far was the most disappointing performance of opening weekend in college football.
I think you have to look at who they played also. Like, I think that will be determined later in the year when you find out if Florida State is for real or not. Because we did this song and dance after UCLA. Whenever LSU lost that game, we're like, well, maybe UCLA is good.
And they ended up being not good.
And they ended up not being good. So I don't want to put any stock in that just yet, because Florida State could be for real. And maybe you just got beat by a team that's better than you are. If Florida State's at top, I mean, you just saw if that's what Clemson is, Florida State's, they're going to outright walk into the playoff. So you lost to a Final Four team. And the thing that's disappointing is you can look at the scoreboard. Absolutely. It's not, people forget LSU was up 17-14. It's everything that happened after that is why people feel the way they feel today.
But even
you got dog walked after.
I would even go before, because you moved the ball. It was just I don't like to blame like players. I would say even like
the scheme didn't change from 2022. It was the same plays. I've seen those 5 plays.
The play calling was very vanilla. Very just, it was like a spring game. Like, oh, we're gonna just roll out here and run Mason Taylor on the slip screen, try to get Jaden Daniels out on the edge. They got 7 players waiting on Jaden Daniels on the edge.
They know what that looks like. Like the book is out. Like, there's film now on what LSU looks like with Jaden Daniels at quarterback, and I'm not blaming Jaden Daniels. I'm blaming play calling. And you talk about playing young players. We're inside the 5. You don't think Caleb Jackson knows how to get into the end zone? Where's Logan Diggs? You brought him in for a reason.
Oh, he said Logan Diggs didn't practice the way that they thought he could the week before the game.
So. I'm tired of that kind of shit, to be honest. Yeah. Like, this, we were praising Brian Kelly for being transparent, and then when it gets to game week, all of a sudden he's turtling on everything that he was saying and everything that he was being transparent with the media, and then he walks up and has the audacity to say, "Oh, it seems like we thought we were Georgia."
I mean, some of the comments in the postgame.
What do you mean we?
Well, I guess we're not the team that we thought we were.
That's like, you,
man. You what? Like, you gonna say that out loud publicly?
But who are you talking to? Who is he saying we?
I just
like, is he blaming himself? Take. You have to own it.
Well, even on the broadcast, like, I think they were kind of saying, like, the team takes the identity of the head coach, and I think LSU took the identity of their head coach this week.
They got punked. He turned an LSU football team, and I'm not saying that this is just a one-game sample size, but he made an LSU football team look like a Notre Dame football team in a week.
Yeah.
It feels like a Notre Dame football team.
Mm-hmm. You got punked.
Right? I mean, like,
Florida State did what LSU does to people.
I've heard reports from people, they don't play music in the locker room before the game. Like, it's like this atmosphere of almost church.
Yeah, it does.
Right? Like, I mean, I was lucky enough to be around LSU football in a front row seat and have some behind-the-scenes access from about 2012 through 2016. We were a part of the LSU Sports Radio Network, did a pregame show was a part of a station that was affiliated with LSU sports, and like we would have access to the locker room pregame. We would stand on the field during the game. You could go into the locker room postgame. We traveled with the team in some instances. We were just around it, right? I mean, like you were all up in it. I mean, and one of the things that, and that's not the only locker room I've ever been in. I'm sure the listeners out there have experience with it. I mean, if you've ever been into a locker room pregame of competition, I mean, there's a certain period and point where, I mean, it's a rave. I mean, it's a concert. It's a get pumped up. It's kind of like, get things moving. I mean, the temperature and tone has changed so much around LSU, and some things for the better, right? I mean, some things had to happen. But one thing you don't want to take away from a school like LSU is that mentality, that starving, that, eat at all costs, that compete at all costs type mentality that, again, a storyline that yesterday we opened up the phone lines for the second hour of the show. If you've missed it, you can go back and listen to it. The one common theme throughout about 8 or 9 phone calls, maybe 10 phone calls in the second hour, was that they quit. Was that there was no effort late in the game. There was no energy late in the game. And really, I can't remember that around LSU. LSU's always been that competitive team that, they would make you hurt. They would make you suffer for having that type of mentality. And to see LSU on the other side of it, that just doesn't happen. Right? Like, you just don't show up in the third and fourth quarter and you're like, oh man, this is done. I guess we're going to check out. That's something that
comes from the top.
And it takes a minute for it to take over a locker room, to take over, 105 guys. And if that's the case, I mean, it's just there are some, look, again, they're 0-1, right? There's a long season left in front of them. But for what they showed after the summer they had in the buildup of who LSU was telling us that they were, well, a lot of people get exposed on Sunday night.
I mean, me and Lloyd talked about it yesterday. Had a long call. Just a little recapper. And it was almost like, we talked about it. It was almost like he coached the dog out of the players that have that dog in them. Like Harold Perkins, Greg Brooks, Makai Wingos. Like, those guys, they played well, but they didn't play with that edge, with that LSU edge, with that dog mentality. I mean, we watched Aaron Anderson get knocked into the bench.
Own bench.
2 rows into your own bench. And not one offensive lineman, receiver, quarterback, nobody stepped up and said, hey, like,
grab that.
Yeah, this ain't going to happen around here. Like, this don't happen at LSU. Even Jaden Daniels getting speared in the chest. I mean, granted, he shouldn't have jumped, but he got speared in the chest. Florida State standing over him. Not one offensive lineman comes in and knocks somebody's head off or anything. Like, it wasn't even a personal foul call after that. And that's just stuff that, I mean, Florida State was doing. Florida State was getting personal fouls, and they didn't give a damn. Mike Norvell did not give a.
He wanted them to. He
Yeah.
coached that into him. He said, "Go in there and be the aggressor."
I think that was the game plan. Yeah.
Go in there and punch him in the mouth.
Punch him. See what happens.
And they did.
Stan Manning, Jordy. So you're saying the program's in a spiral now? Got to fire this coach?
No,
Stan.
Not saying that.
I mean, like, you want to be dramatic and bring that stuff up, but if you watch that game on Sunday night and you have a feeling that the program is in the right spot moving forward, that they don't have a ton of adjustments that they have to make and that they can figure it out. But after game 1 and a long season of buildup, a long off season of buildup, and watching the college football weekend, who's in more of a desperate spot than LSU is?
No one.
I mean, really, to me, the wheels are off at Clemson. I mean, if he's not going to get into the transfer portal where he's costing his program, talking about Dabo Swinney, LSU's got transfers all over the place.
Well, that's the other part of the equation where you got transfers everywhere. You're not playing them.
Well, I mean, that's who he is playing.
No, I'm talking about one person in particular.
We might not be playing the right transfer. That way.
I think that there's a couple of things that could be changed, and I think there's some easy fixes, but I wonder what they are for what the staff thinks they are. Does Mike Denbrock think he has the answers on offense? That offensive game plan that he rolled out, does he think that that's going to win football games, especially when you're in the SEC conference? Like, I understand Florida State might be good, and I just said that. But there's other teams in the conference that are also good. Like Ole Miss, if you're Matt House, you should be staying up at night thinking about Ole Miss's offense and what they're going to do to you. Because you don't got players at corner. You don't have it.
They blinked and scored 70 on Saturday.
Yeah.
And they just rolled out of bed and scored 70.
But there needs to be a mentality change from the top down, where go out and get a personal foul. Don't let that happen again, where you got punked and you were winning the game 17-14, and everybody was looked up at halftime like, look, LSU's got they've got no penalties. Look how disciplined they are. Discipline's one thing. Being able to just go into a boxing ring and just get bodied and then not say anything about it is totally different. Like, you have to be the aggressor in these games, and LSU showed that they had no dog in them.
It's like they got punched in the mouth and
just took it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I guess we'll quit.
Almost left.
Yeah, like, oh, that hurt.
Like, bleeding, left.
Like, Will Campbell, I know he has that dog in him.
Emory Jones.
I know you got that dog in you. He'll Pert. I mean, you saw it at the end of the game when he slung that man 15 yards into the end zone because he's just done.
Like, I was say, you almost let him score.
Like, and I think those are some of the things that you'll see fixed. Like, if you're Matt House, you have to give up on the inside backer experience. Yeah. What good does it do you?
It's not like he's like catching interceptions or playing
how much more. Yeah, how much more is it an advantage for him to be there, or what you saw last year? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will work. Maybe they don't give up on it, and you start to see this evolution into Perk become. But what does that get you?
I mean, it makes no sense for him to be in the middle of the field. And I see people who saying that people schemed against him late in the year as well. Are we going to argue whether or not he should be rushing the passer? Like, really? Is there an argument to be made that after watching him play 8 games as a freshman, that he should not be coming off the edge, or at least scheming him to get into a one-on-one situation and come off the edge? I mean, can't we all agree in the middle of the field, you totally strip his skill set and neutralize one of the best players in the sport? And I don't even know what I'm looking at.
He didn't know what he was looking at.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't even, but it's as elementary and as simple as saying, that ain't it. I mean, like, that's not where he's supposed to be. You know, I mean, and just to sit there and watch that for 4 quarters, to me, it's insubordination. I mean, really, I don't know how else to put it. Like, I mean, it would be like you at your job watching something just screw up for 3.5 hours and just keep
doing the same thing.
Just keep feeding it, keep investing in it, keep saying we're going to keep doing it, rather than saying, hold up, this is screwing up, let's move that. It just, I didn't understand what they were doing, and I think that you look at some personnel on LSU, and there's just things that you can't fix. Immediately, you can fix. You get Mason Smith back. That'll help tremendously. Mm-hmm. You can fix immediately moving Harold Perkins into a situation in a place that he can make plays. You can start playing guys like, where was Quincy Wiggins the other night? Where was Chris Hilton the other night? Where was Deshaun Womack the other night, who have heard all offseason that this guy is potential game wrecker? Why doesn't Braden Swinson play over Ovi Agofu? I mean, just to the natural eye. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is something that we know that they know that we don't know just by, being there. But just watching the game, just turning the game on and watching it, number 13 disrupts the game more than number 2 does. Why is number 13 on the field less than number 2?
Simple.
I just, like, serious question. Nothing against number 2. Just when you see 2 players playing the same position, it's quite easy to see, well, 13 is causing more disruption tonight. Maybe it's not next week where he's the better player, but tonight he is. Why does he come off the field? Why not play the players that are affecting the game? I mean, that's the stuff that you look at and you're like, that's some Les Miles stuff. I mean, that's some dumb, inexplicable moves that you're like, what are you doing? Why don't you play Denver Harris at defensive back if that's what your selections are?
They don't have a choice.
You have zero choice. Zero. If your goal is to play for championships, you have no choice.
You think Denver Harris would have gave up 3 touchdowns?
I know he would have fought.
And I know he would have. Exactly. And that's all I need from you. Like, I don't need you to not give up 3 touchdowns, but I need you to fight. I need you to, when that man catches a slant, I need you to tackle him instead of trying to hit his leg.
Stan Manning, fire Brian Kelly, only solution, I guess. Stan, you're miserable, bro.
We aren't talking about firing the coach.
You're a miserable person, man. I mean, like, think objectively. So what you saw on Sunday night, you're good with? You've got no reaction to it? You're just going to sit here and let Brian Kelly for the next decade look as if he's not playing the best players? He's not going anywhere. They're not firing him. I'm not saying to fire him. I'm saying they have to make major adjustments if they want to be at a championship level. And that's what we're being sold that they are building. I mean, it's a reactionary show. It's a talking head. It's reacting to what you saw.
There's 3 or 4 plays you can look at, and the game goes differently. Like LSU had opportunities to win the football game, and that's what the sport is. Like Brian Thomas down the sidelines, you'd like to see that catch made. Kyron Lacy on a slant, you'd like to see that catch made. I'm not blaming them, but I'm saying those are the different types of plays that if you were talking about like a performance-based result, those are the things that you have to look at. In totality, that's the problem. It was what LSU, the indifference to losing is what bothered me and how LSU played. It was ho-hum, oh, I guess we're just going to lose the game. There was nothing in you that made you think, okay, they're about to come out in the second half and whip ass, which you saw that last year when Matt House made second half adjustments. The offense got better in the second half, but this looked like LSU Arkansas. After talk about the Les Miles era, it looked like LSU after they had lost to Alabama. That's what it looked like. Where it's like, I guess we'll just roll the ball out and see what happens. I don't really care if we win or lose. And that, to me, says in the second half that they know that they got dog-walked in the first half. The scoreboard didn't show it, but the personnel and the attitude did. Florida State came out and said, oh, we got them right where we want them. And ain't nothing you can do about that. It's got to be a shift in mentality.
Thanks for tuning in to our premium LSU content right here on YouTube. If you want more of it, subscribe below.